The bloodbath continues and the Adani Group counters on the stock market. 5 of its 10 stocks are at a lower circuit. The Hindenburg effect sees Adani investors lose 5.6 lakh crores in 3 days. The group's top financial officer tells India Today the report is bogus. Hindenburg sticks to its charges, says don't hide behind the cloak of nationalism. From Kanyakumari to Kashmir, the Bharat Jodo Yatra finally concludes. Rahul Gandhi says people of Kashmir gave him love, not hand grenades. BJP hits out saying Gandhis in Kashmir are safe today because of Prime Minister Modi. TMC MP Mahua Moitra, lawyer Prashant Bhushan, journalist N. Ram moved the Supreme Court against the ban on the BBC film on the Gujarat riots. Law Minister slams the move, says this is how court's time is being wasted. After Khalistani goons bash up Indian students in Melbourne, India now sends out a strong message. Envoy visits temples that were vandalized with Khalistani graffiti. A Gujarat court convicts self-styled godman Asaram Bapu in a rape case filed in 2013. Sentence order on January 31st. 6 other accused acquitted, including Asaram's wife. An FIR registered against Samajwadi Party Neta Swami Prasad Maurya, 10 other accused for tearing and burning copies of the Ramcharitramanas. UP Anti-Terror Court hands death penalty to convicts in Gorakhnath temple attack from 2022. Court orders after ISIS and IS link emerge. 44 people are killed in an explosion inside a mosque during afternoon prayers at Peshawar's police lines in Pakistan. And Shahrukh Khan gives a message of love after the smashing success of Pathaan, says he doesn't want to hurt religious sentiments, wants to present Indian culture in a modern way. But our top story tonight, the Adani Group, the country's richest businessman-led group, has lost over 1 lakh crore rupees in market capitalization on Monday as the bloodbath continued. The group has lost now over 5 lakh crore rupees in value ever since the investment research agency based in the United States, Hindenburg, released a report questioning the conglomerate's financials, raising several questions over alleged share manipulation. The Adanis have thrashed the charges leveled by Hindenburg, calling them a conspiracy against India. The US group has hit back, saying the business group is taking refuge in nationalism and must answer its specific questions. Tonight, in a moment, we'll look at those charges in detail. But first, take a look at our top story, Adani versus Hindenburg.
It's one of the biggest corporate scandals to hit India. Shares of many Adani Group companies are in tailspin ever since New York-based short seller Hindenburg Research released a report alleging illegalities. In a 413-page report, the conglomerate has given a point-by-point rebuttal to Hindenburg Research. Describing Hindenburg Research as the Madoffs of Manhattan, the Adani Group has called their report a calculated attack on India, its institutions, the growth story and ambition of India. Adani termed Hindenburg Research's report nothing but a lie, highlighting how the report just dropped ahead of Adani Enterprises FPO. Adani Group said the malified intent is apparent. The statement also addressed many of the charges leveled by Hindenburg. Rejecting Hindenburg's charge for using offshore firms to buy stock, the group said the claims were misleading and made without any understanding of the law. The Adani Group claimed their debt ratio was in line with global infra and utility companies. Rejecting the charge of inflated stock prices, Adani Group claimed price-to-earnings ratios for infra companies are always high. The Hindenburg report could not have come at a worse time for the Adani Group. The 20,000 crore rupees follow-on public offer made by flagship Adani Enterprises is being shunned by retail investors.
No, it's basically what happens is that under normal circumstances, you would say that, okay, there will be X amount of retail participation. For example, we know, because we get that report, 40 lakh applications went out. So you can judge how much would be the retail participation in normal circumstances. So now what will happen is that we also know how much was the demand from institutional investors when we did the roadshow, etc. So now what will happen is that in FPO, you have the flexibility that the FPO can be filled from any one category.
So all of the 20,000 is now coming from the institutional category?
At this stage.
Hindenburg Research, however, has hit back at the Adanis, saying Adani Group's response has largely confirmed the findings that New York-based short seller has made. Alleging that Adani has ignored every allegation that the firm has made, Hindenburg says fraud cannot be obfuscated by nationalism or a bloated response. The strongly worded rebuttal alleged the Adani Group has draped itself in Indian flag while looting the nation. The Adani Group has lost over 5.56 lakh crore rupees in market cap over 3 sessions since Hindenburg released their report. Group chairman Gautam Adani, who was the world's second richest man till a few days ago, is now at the 8th position in the Forbes real-time list of billionaires. Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's raise the big questions tonight. Questions that are often not being raised on prime time across news channels. Have the Adanis answered, satisfied the markets and those who want to know if its finance and ops are above board? Does the regulator, SEBI and indeed the RBI need to step in and investigate some of the charges? One of the key issues raised is the allegation of offshore investment entities putting in money. Is this something that deserves a deeper look into by the market regulator and other authorities? Is the foreign conspiracy theory made by the Adanis against Hindenburg plausible? Can the perception hit taken by the Adanis be retrieved? And will it also hit the Modi government, which is seen to be proximate to the businessman? Let's raise those questions. Joining me now is Hemendra Hazari, independent research analyst who's been tracking many of these companies. PN Vijay will join us in a moment, an economist who was connected with the BJP. Alok Churiwala is MD Churiwala Securities, former director at Bombay Stock Exchange. Hemendra Hazari, let's come one by one. First, the serious charges of stock manipulation, of fraud, and indeed of money laundering over the course of decades made by Hindenburg, including the allegation that there are offshore entities linked to family members that have been manipulating and laundering money. How do you respond? Are these charges that are should be investigated? Have they been investigated? Or do you believe Hindenburg has brought out something new?
As a research analyst, I must commend the Hindenburg report because they have made a persuasive argument, fully supported and documented with facts, either from government agencies' investigative reports or from the company's disclosures. These have very rightly raised very serious concerns. And you know, the eating of the cake is when you actually eat it. And it's very clear that the market has shown its concern and has gone and agreed with some of those issues raised by the Hindenburg report. And that is why you've seen such a severe fall in the share prices.
But what are the specific, Hemendra Hazari, what are the specific,
there are very specific.
What are the specific charges that you believe have still not been answered by Adanis?
See, the charge is this, that, and this is the main thing, when you have certain entities which are routing funds from Mauritius, are they really the promoters funding, which is what the Hindenburg alleges and which is not classified as promoter holding? And where is the source of funds? Because they have raised some very valid issues and they've given examples of certain companies which are kind of shell companies, which hardly have any employees, hardly have any business, but they seem to be routing massive amounts of money into the Adani group of companies, and the Adani group of companies in turn is sending monies back. So the central question in money laundering is, what is the source of these funds? Now, when particularly they come from these tax havens like Mauritius, it does raise a very serious concern. Because these are tax havens. They've been set up really to hide and disguise the original ownership of money. Now, these are the questions which the market wants to know. Now, Adani companies will be obviously very reluctant to part with any information because firstly, as per Adani, they're not related companies to the Adani groups. So on paper, obviously, they will not know what is the source of these companies' funding. But what Hindenburg is alleging is that actually they are part of the Adani group and they should know. So this is the question which I think people have. Do they support the Hindenburg report or do they support Adani? And I think the market in the last 3 days has very clearly given its verdict.
So are you saying that SEBI needs to step in and at least give some kind of clarity on the nature of these allegations, order an investigation?
No, SEBI must now step in because the market is very clearly showing its concern. But what is unusual and what has not been highlighted by others is that in the Hindenburg report has made some very serious allegations against SEBI, that it is a partisan regulator. It has ignored all these things which are going on in Adani. They have cited anonymous people who are openly saying that SEBI is accepting bribes. So when such a player makes such very serious allegations that we have a partisan capital market regulator, that it indeed may be even corrupt. Now, if who has to investigate it is SEBI, and this is what the Hindenburg report says, then one really wonders what is the credibility of SEBI when it gives its verdict and does its investigation. And all through this, SEBI has remained quiet, as has the Indian government. With such a massive loss in market capitalization, one would expect the regulator to come in and say something, or even the government. But strangely, the regulator is silent, the government is silent, and the market is playing havoc with Adani shareholders.
Let me in a moment come to you, Alok Churiwala, because the market obviously seems to know something that in this battle between Hindenburg and Adani that perhaps the rest of us don't, because markets also work on perception, and the perception clearly seems to have gone against the Adanis in the manner in which Hindenburg came out with this exhaustive report, despite the fact that the Adanis on Sunday gave a equally detailed report. Are the markets worried about the leverage that these Adani stocks have to public institutions, whether it's LIC, whether it's debt with State Bank of India? What is it that is worrying the market so much that several Adani shares have even today hit the lower circuit?
Okay, Rajdeep, it's like this. On Dalal Street,
very clearly,
the Sensex
1 minute,
is known as the sensitive index.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Sensex on Dalal Street is known as the sensitive index. Any news, positive or negative, that comes through is reacted upon. And when such a big news comes that, India's one of the foremost industrial groups that has, got the mantle of being the third richest in the world, albeit in a short time, is perhaps everything is not hunky-dory, market is definitely going to take a step back, recalibrate its thinking and go ahead.
No, but this is despite Mr. Churiwala, the detailed response given by Adani's. Adani's gave a detailed response saying these charges were bogus. A day later, despite that, the Adani stocks have taken a hit.
No, you see that is exactly what I was about to come to when you interrupted me with your question. The timing of this report is what actually reeks of a hit job. Why was this report not bought 3 months back? Why only on the eve of the FPO? So on one hand, you have a promoter who wants to raise money from the market. On the other hand, you have a wily set of short sellers who want to make money overseas, not on Indian shores, on foreign shores, in instruments that are non-transparent and in bonds. So, obviously Hindenburg is also not holier than thou. That's point one. Them alleging that the regulator of the country is corrupt, sleeping, so on and so forth. I can tell you, I've been in the market for over 3 decades. And for the 2.5 decades that our regulator has been there, I mean, the proof of the pudding is in its eating, Rajdeep. Look at the number of investors we've had. Look at the number of listed companies. We are the only market in the world that has moved to T+1. All this is obviously somebody is not going to like all the kind of moves India is making. We're already a $3 trillion economy trying to be a $5 trillion economy and going forward.
So you're buying the
wars
foreign.
are not
You're
going
buying
to be
the
fought
foreign.
across the borders.
No,
Wars are going to be fought on the bourses, either in
you're saying
commodities
this is a hit
market,
job. You're saying
forex
this is a hit
market,
job
or
with
the
the
stock
foreign.
markets.
You're buying the foreign conspiracy theory. You're suggesting this is a conspiracy. Should the charges, at least SEBI, not break its
I'm
silence?
saying that I think it needs to be investigated. It could be. It definitely could be a hit job. The timing is what gives it away, and the kind of allegations that are being made. Because finally, what does the short seller care? You know, the short seller wants to make money when the prices go down. And that's exactly what they have achieved with this.
But given the nature of the charges, given the fact that large amounts of money which LIC and State Bank among others are in a way leveraged to, given all that, do you think that at least SEBI should break its silence, should at least reassure the investor, or at least launch an investigation which will in some way give the investor a sense of reassurance? If you're saying these are bogus charges, should SEBI also be saying that, or should it be only said by the Adanis?
No, in fact, the fact that the regulator is silent means that the regulator is rest assured that there's nothing awry as on date, because they have a keen eye on the happenings on the market. And the fact of the matter is that today markets have recovered. Come tomorrow, after the FPO is over, you'll see markets will recover far more if the Adanis are able to meet their targets. It'll be a forgotten story. And why should our regulator pay heed to Hindenburg, who erstwhile was unknown in the country? The only Hindenburg we knew about was an airship that blew up because of a hydrogen leakage caused by a spark.
Okay, Alok, you're saying this will be a forgotten story. Hemendra Azari, you want to respond that this will be a forgotten story? Every indication that the FPO will be fully subscribed, and in a couple of days, post-budget particularly, there's a belief that things will return to normal. Do you believe this is business as normal, or there is something about this? I've just seen a letter that Mahua Moitra has now written, the TMC MP, to the finance minister, claiming that several of the FPIs, the foreign portfolio investors, are related to one particular group called the Monte Rosa Group, and there should be an investigation which the registrar of companies should do. Given the way it's spilling out into the political domain, do you believe it will be forgotten? As Mr. Churiwala is saying, there could be a conspiracy, it's a hit job.
See, whenever you see any such report, the first thing you have to look at, what are those charges? Have they been backed up by credible data? You see, according to me, they have given very specific charges, and it is all backed up by documentation. So therefore, you have to go by that, and you have to cross-check it, and and the fact is, today the market has believed it. That's why you have a loss of $65 billion to Adani shareholders. If the market had not at all reacted to the report, then I can say business is normal. But today business is most abnormal. There is so much concern. The international press is also very concerned. All the major newspapers are writing stories on Adani. The shareholders are at a loss. So therefore, to me, this is a very serious concern. I mean, it is completely abnormal.
You're saying
I'm a little surprised anyone saying this is normal.
You're saying it's a serious concern. PN Vijay now
there
joins
are very
us.
specific charges here.
Okay.
You see, the entities.
The entities that have been named are very specific.
Have been named.
The alleged role of the personal office of the family involves very specific charges against individuals. But PN Vijay, do you believe that this is a perception battle that is being played out as much as reality? Look, the fact is the Adanis have some very real assets. They control 30% of India's ports. They control some of India's most lucrative potential airports. They're in the power sector. They're in infrastructure. And they claim over time, the CEO told us, that these will be extremely valuable. He claimed that Mr. Adani was to infrastructure what Steve Jobs was to smartphones. And therefore, this is at best a temporary blip which has been created, that the company itself has strong real assets.
Well, I think what he's saying is right to the extent that the company has assets. But the Hindenburg report is about something else. Let me just tell you the three major findings of the Hindenburg report. 38 Mauritius-based companies have been indulging in circular trading and market manipulation. Secondly, they feel that a large, big portion of the public issue, of the public holding, is really front companies of Mr. Adani. The Hindenburg report is also saying that a small-time auditor has been used by such a big company and there are major irregularities in the accounts and the audits. Whatever the truths of these allegations are of a serious nature. Hindenburg, over the last 5 years, since they were incorporated in 2017, have unearthed, with a 99% success ratio, very major scams of companies. 2 years ago, they brought down a major Chinese company where the Chinese government reaction was immediately order an inquiry by the market regulator in China, followed up by, and the NASDAQ also made an inquiry, and NASDAQ delisted the stock. So we are talking about serious investor action here.
But Mr. Churiwala is raising questions over timing, saying it's been done on the eve of the FPO, saying they are short sellers, and therefore Hindenburg also needs to be looked at.
Fall in the markets and only
one by one. I'll come to you, Mr. Churiwala.
Rajdeep,
Yes.
I have 2 points to make.
Yes.
First, the BJP and its supporters should stop supporting Adani because it will blow up in their face in the next few days. That's my fear. Adani has been telling the world that Adani is India and India is Adani. This is bullshit. I think we should separate the national and parochial thing from this is a stock market. In stock market, short selling goes on every day. There are 50 research reports, 25 say sell, 25 say buy. Here, since the allegations are of a very serious nature, I would suggest to the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who is a lady of great integrity, that she should order the SEBI to do an inquiry into the market manipulation, that the RBI and Enforcement Directorate should inquire into the money laundering.
So you're saying that the BJP government, for its own sake, should, rather than batting behind the flag of nationalism, order a SEBI inquiry. Am I correct?
This is the most stupid thing that BJP is doing, and I've been a BJP spokesman for many years, because there is no basis to support Adani. He may have great assets, but these are specific offenses under Indian law. Best thing is for the BJP to say, let SEBI, RBI and Enforcement Directorate, for 30 days there should not be any listing, any trading. This is the normal market practice. We should follow that. We should not behave like a banana republic.
You're making very, very strong comments there, PN Vijay. You want to respond now, Alok Churiwala. Both Hemendra Azari, PN Vijay saying the very least SEBI should at least inquire into the charges.
No. Inquire into the charges is all fine, Rajdeep. I'm all for it. Do it given time. But are we saying that all systems in our country have failed? We have the RBI, we have the SEBI, we have other regulators. You know, has everything failed? Just because one Mr. Hindenburg comes, who is a short seller, who doesn't trade in Indian markets, who doesn't want to trade in
we all have the highest respect for
instruments that are transparent.
What I'm saying is the investors...
One by one. Let Mr. Churiwala complete, Mr. Vijay.
They are not willing to come on record and say who their principals are, and we want our SEBI, and we will question SEBI, we will question RBI, we will question Finance Minister, and for
Mr. Churiwala,
who comes,
Mr. Churiwala, a number of investors
sort of allege against Indian companies.
No, it's not.
Going forward.
What about the investors who've taken a hit? What about the public institution investors whose money is involved?
Investor is going to lose. The fact that the investor is worried, it is the sovereign funds who will apply for this issue, will get the wealth made out of these shares.
Right.
Because the public is scared, because they do not know whether to invest or not, they will stay away. So finally, it is the people who will lose. And at whose behest? At Hindenburg's behest. Why? Because that short seller will have made oodles of money for himself.
Mr. Vijay, you want to respond? Adani is claiming, look, we will be fully subscribed. We have these real assets that are out there. We have nothing to hide, they claim. They claim in the past similar allegations have been made and they haven't been proven. Is this a perception battle? I come back to it. You mentioned the fact of Mr. Adani's proximity to the BJP, proximity to Prime Minister Modi.
I do hope Prime Minister Modi goes away from him. I don't think he was ever close to him. Be that as it may, Mr. Adani may have a point. He may believe that, like every promoter, his company is good. I'm not questioning that. What I'm saying is Hindenburg is a well-known international hedge fund. Okay. And they have brought out repeated reports with a 99% accuracy. The accusations they made are very serious. And since there are millions of Indian retail investors who are affected by this talk, the government should do its duty and order an inquiry. If the inquiry says Hindenburg's charges are all bullshit, very good. If the charges are correct, then Mr. Adani will be arrested. That's how a mature nation behaves. It is not politics. It's pure stock markets. And I think to poo-poo Hindenburg saying it's, because I have read that report, it's a fairly well-written report. I'm not saying all the accusations are right, but they're surely worth a serious inquiry, Rajdeep.
Okay, let me leave it there. I think what we are getting from all our three participants is three very different views. Certainly, two very different views to what Mr. Churiwala has. He believes it will be business as usual. He suspects a hit job. Both Mr. P.N. Vijay and Hemendra Hazari believe that the allegations are serious enough, at least for SEBI prima facie, to lodge an inquiry, especially into some of the alleged irregularities in that report. But remember, of course, it is not, reports should be based in the end on hard evidence, not simply on allegations. And therefore, perhaps the best way forward is an inquiry which is transparent and fair to restore confidence amongst the average investor. P.N. Vijay, Hemendra Hazari, Alok Churiwala for joining me here on the news today. Thanks very much tonight. Let's turn from there to the big political story. The Bharat Jodo Yatra came to an end after covering a distance of over 4,000 kilometers from Kanyakumari to Jammu and Kashmir. The finale, with Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi addressing a rally today, ended in a snow-clad Srinagar. The question is the yatra enough to revive the Congress? Here's a report.
Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra ends after covering a distance of nearly 4,000 kilometers from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. Rahul Gandhi, accompanied by Sister Priyanka and Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge, first unfurled the tricolour at the party headquarters in the snow-covered Srinagar. This was followed by a rally at the packed Sher-e-Kashmir Stadium, where Rahul struck an emotional chord. He recalled the assassinations of his father and grandmother, stressed the point that he understood the pain of those who lost their family members in terror attacks.
मैं प्रिंसिपल के ऑफिस पहुंचा तो प्रिंसिपल ने कहा, राहुल तुम्हारे घर से फोन कॉल है। राहुल दादी को गोली मार दी। पिता के एक दोस्त थे, उन्होंने मुझे फोन किया और कहा, राहुल बुरी खबर है। मैंने उनसे कहा, मैं जानता हूं, पापा मर गए। कहते हैं हाँ। यात्रा का लक्ष्य है कि ये जो फोन कॉल हैं, चाहे ये आर्मी के हों, चाहे CRPF के हों, चाहे ये कश्मीर के लोगों के हो, ये फोन कॉल बंद हो जाए।
The Gandhis called the Jammu Kashmir visit a homecoming for them.
जब मेरे भाई कश्मीर की तरफ आ रहे थे तो उन्होंने एक मैसेज भेजा हमें, मुझे और मेरी माँ को। उन्होंने कहा कि मुझे एक अजीब सी फीलिंग हो रही है, महसूस हो रहा है कि मैं अपने घर जा रहा हूँ।
The Congress MP dared Home Minister Amit Shah to hold a Padyatra from Jammu to Srinagar.
जैसे मोदी जी हैं, अमित शाह जी हैं, RSS के लोग हैं, उन्होंने हिंसा नहीं देखी है। डरते हैं, नहीं डरते हैं, देखिए डरते हैं। यहाँ पे हम 4 दिन पैदल चले, मैं आपको गारंटी देके कह सकता हूं कि बीजेपी का कोई नेता ऐसे नहीं चल सकता है।
The BJP hit back, claiming Rahul unfurling the Tiranga in Srinagar was made possible by the Narendra Modi government.
आपने राहुल गांधी जी को और प्रियंका गांधी जी को बर्फ के गोलों के साथ तो खेलते देखा, पिकनिक मनाते भी देखा, हंसी खुशी के माहौल में भी देखा, लेकिन शायद वो धन्यवाद करना भूल गए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का, जिन्होंने सत्ता में आने के बाद अनुच्छेद 370 और 35 को सदा सदा के लिए खत्म किया।
Though the Congress had invited over 20 like-minded parties to the rally, the only big faces that showed up came from the valley, putting a big question mark on opposition unity. Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me now is senior Congress MP, the party's communication in charge, Jairam Ramesh, joining me from a rather cold Srinagar. Appreciate your joining us, Jairam Ramesh. The arduous yatra is over, Kanyakumari to Kashmir. What are the three big benefits you think this yatra has actually given your party today?
Well, Rajdeep, don't reduce the yatra to an event. We are not event managers. The Bharat Jodo Yatra is a movement. And it's a long-term movement and it's an ideological movement. But in terms of short-term gains, if you're asking me that question, I think first and foremost, we have demonstrated a collective sense of purpose, a collective sense of solidarity in the Congress party organization. It has been enthused beyond imagination. And the younger generation of congressmen and congresswomen have really put their heart and soul together to make this yatra a grand success. So I think a revival and rejuvenation of the Congress is certainly one very big gain. The second big gain, of course, is the fact that the real Mr. Rahul Gandhi, free from the social media insults and distortions of his image that have taken place over the last 8 years, has emerged and is visible to the people of the country. And the third big gain is that the yatra, and Mr. Gandhi particularly, has highlighted through the yatra the fact that we are now in an ideological battle with the RSS and the BJP, the fact that we are fighting against economic inequalities, against social polarization, and against political dictatorship. I think these are the issues that he has been able to highlight through the length of this 136-day, 4,000-kilometer yatra. But as he himself said this afternoon in Srinagar, this yatra was carried out by the Congress party. Congressmen and women were involved in the yatra, but he did this yatra not for the party per se, but for the country, to bring the country together, a fractured country, the partition of the minds, so to speak, that we have today because of social polarization. So I think these are some of the big gains in the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
But the fact is, Mr. Jairam Ramesh, you are a political party and Rahul Gandhi is a politician. So there will be question naturally raised about whether this yatra has brought you any political benefits. Even today in Srinagar, we didn't see many of the opposition parties that you had invited even being there along with Rahul Gandhi as a show of solidarity. So the question arises, will this make the Congress more electorally viable? Will it make it a magnet for opposition unity? None of those questions seem to have been addressed by the yatra.
These are questions in your mind, Rajdeep, and these are questions in the minds of a large army of armchair commentators who are prepared to write off the Congress party.
No, I'm not writing off. Jairam Ramesh, let me clarify. I'm not writing off the I'm not writing off the Congress party. I'm asking you questions.
I'm giving you an answer. The question in our minds was not electoral benefits. The question in Mr. Rahul Gandhi's mind was not immediate electoral benefit, either in 2023 or in 2024. The question uppermost in his mind, and the question uppermost in the minds of all Bharat Yatris is, we are now engaged in an ideological struggle. We are more than an electoral machine. We have to join the battle of ideas and ideologies with the BJP and the RSS. And I think this is what we have done. If there is a foundation laid for working together with other political parties, so be it. But I think the fundamental driving force of the Yatra was to recognize that there are severe threats to Indian democracy. There are severe threats to the Indian Republic from growing economic inequality, from growing social polarization, and from political authoritarianism, which is a direct consequence of the personality and the policies of the Prime Minister. So, we never thought, चुनाव में क्या होगा, इसका क्या नतीजा होगा, चुनाव में हमें कोई फायदा होगा कि नहीं. These were questions that were never raised either before or during the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
The reason I ask you this is we just did a Mood of the Nation poll last week, and it showed again that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, if the poll is to be believed, is poised for a hat-trick in 2024. In that sense, how do you respond to the belief that the Yatra has not been able to capture the political imagination of those outside the Congress's echo chambers?
I disagree with you completely, Rajdeep. I disagree with you completely. It's very easy to sit in Delhi and say it has not captured the political imagination. It has captured the political imagination of lakhs and lakhs of people in the 12 states and the union territories that, the Bharat Jodo Yatra
Mainly Congress workers.
Anybody who has covered the regional media, anybody who looks at the regional media, anybody who has walked in the Bharat Jodo Yatra and seen the Bharat Jodo Yatra through an objective lens, not through a blinkered lens, will recognize that this has really captured the imagination not only of Congress supporters, not only of Congress workers, but also of people who were ambivalent towards the Congress, who have turned away from the Congress for some reason or the other. And it has even captured the imagination of critics of the Congress party. So I entirely disagree with you when you say that it has not captured the political imagination. It may not have captured the imagination of the pollsters, who do these polls once in a while. These polls, these polls are polls. But we have to engage in yatras like this. We are doing our dharma. Now, what is going to happen in the elections in 2023? What's going to happen in 2024? We have launched a campaign, the Haath Se Haath Jodo campaign, that was launched on the 26th of January. And that was precisely with the objectives that you have set out. How do you translate the goodwill and the support of the Bharat Jodo Yatra into electoral support from the people? And that is why we are taking a one-page message from Mr. Rahul Gandhi. We are having a one-page charge sheet against the failures of the Modi government. And our Congress workers are taking it from door to door in every Gram Panchayat, in every village, and in every polling booth of the country. It's a massive outreach exercise that has started quietly. The Bharat Jodo Yatra has dominated the narrative, but from now on, for the next 3 months, it is going to be the Haath Se Haath Jodo Abhiyan.
So you're saying that the next stage is organizational rebuilding, a sense of reaching out to the people at the booth level. It's not...
Absolutely.
So you accept that is really the next big challenge that your party faces?
Absolutely. The Bharat Jodo Yatra, Mr. Gandhi has said repeatedly, ये पहला कदम है और ये एक छोटा कदम है. I think both are important. It's a first step and it's a small step. And whether this translates into electoral benefit, and I entirely agree with you, we are not an NGO. We have ultimately to fight elections. We fight elections, we win some, we lose some, but we have to fight elections. And I entirely agree with you that it's the organizational ability, the organizational strength, the organizational unity, discipline, and solidarity that will ultimately determine whether the Bharat Jodo Yatra was successful electorally.
Will it be followed by an East?
Stick my neck out, Rajdeep. I'll stick my neck out and say the Bharat Jodo Yatra has been a tremendous success emotionally. It has been a tremendous success intellectually. It has been a tremendous success ideologically. Will it be a success politically? Will it be a success electorally? I would say it's been a success politically as well. I take that back. But whether it will be a success electorally, time alone will tell, and that will depend entirely on the Congress party organization.
May I ask you what then will be Rahul Gandhi's role as we go ahead? Will there be another yatra that he will lead, East-West yatra? Is this the role he's going to play of a party ideologue of sorts? Or is he willing now to position himself much more frontally, having given up the party presidentship, and take on a more frontal role? What is the role that we expect Rahul Gandhi to play, since you claim that this yatra has brought out the real Rahul Gandhi?
Well, you'll wait and see. Parliament is going to be in session from day after tomorrow. Then we have a Congress plenary on the 24th, 25th, and 26th of February in Raipur. We have 9 assembly elections in 2023, so it's a very busy year. And of course, the big enchilada, so to speak, in 2024 is the Lok Sabha election. What precise role Mr. Gandhi will play? Of course, he's a member of Parliament, and he is a pivotal figure in the Congress Party organization. He has always been, but I think after the Bharat Jodo Yatra, he has been finally freed from the caricaturing and lampooning that has been indulged in by the social media and the mainstream media at the behest of the BJP.
One final question. Are you saying, therefore, that you believe this yatra has established the Congress also as a magnet in a way for all those forces ideologically opposed to this government, some in politics, some outside politics, and do you therefore expect political parties to join a wider movement or a political coalition under the leadership of the Congress? Is that the hope?
Well, Rajdeep, I don't want to use words like under the leadership and so on. These are, very loaded terms. But I will tell you this, that I get, having walked in the yatra from day one and having interacted with lots and lots of people who are not necessarily friendly towards the Congress in the course of these 136 days, I can tell you that although this yatra was started by the Congress Party, and the yatris were Congress workers and Congress leaders like Mr. Rahul Gandhi, it has struck a chord in the minds and hearts of people across the political spectrum, across the ideological spectrum. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to go and vote for the Congress next time they have an opportunity, but I think the Congress is being seen in new light. The Congress has now set the narrative, not only for itself, but for the entire political class, for the entire political establishment. So I think in the battlefield of ideas, in the battlefield of ideologies, in the battlefield of public contact, the Congress is back to being where it was.
And how will you respond to the BJP, which says before Bharat Jodo, first ensure Congress Jodo? They've been saying this right through the yatra, and they continue to say it. They give evidence of all that's happened in Rajasthan, the faction fight, Gehlot versus pilot camp, Sitaramaiah versus Shiv
We are
Kumar.
a democratic party. We are a democratic party. Opinions are aired freely. There is a Lakshman Rekha, of course, but there is no atmosphere of fear. I have described this in Hindi. I can't translate it into English very easily, but I'm sure you will understand. हमारे देश के सामने 2 रास्ते हैं. एक रास्ते में एक तंत्र का तोप चलाया जा रहा है और दूसरे रास्ते में लोकतंत्र की शहनाई बजा रही है. So in a way, it's a battle between the ek tantra ka top, the cannon of one man rule or one man army versus the playing of the Shanai, the diversities of India. So I think that's really the positioning of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. We are celebrating diversities, and what we are telling the people of India is only if you celebrate diversities will you strengthen unity. If you try to bring about uniformity like the BJP and the RSS does, you endanger your unity.
You didn't answer my question about how you're going to bring the Congress party together, all these faction fights.
The Congress party is very much together, Rajdeep. The Congress party, people have written epitaphs for the Congress party time and time again. It's a favorite pastime, not only of the right-wingers, but it's also a favorite pastime of people, in the center, the left liberal crowd. But the reports of the death of the Congress have always been largely exaggerated. Okay. It will never die.
You're sounding like Mark Twain. Let me end by asking you, you've traveled for much of the yatra. What for you has been the most durable experience that you seem to have lost weight, I can see, but quite apart from that, what is the most enduring image for you of this yatra?
Well, it was a constant struggle between mind and body every day. The body said no, and the mind said yes, and the mind always won. So, at my age, I'm turning 69 in 3 months' time. And of course, I had an inspiration, a 75-year-old Digvijay Singh who's going to be 76, who's fitter than me. But for me, speaking for myself personally, it was a tremendous experience, a tremendous learning experience. And I got to see, I've seen most of the parts of India that I went through, but that was, as a minister or, as in a different capacity, not actually walking, staying in a container for 136 days. So it's a life-altering experience, Rajdeep. It really is a life-altering experience. And seeing Mr. Rahul Gandhi, seeing his endurance, seeing his tenacity, sheer resilience that he demonstrated, it was a great inspiration for all of us. And not only Mr. Rahul Gandhi, there were 200 other congressmen and congresswomen who were Bharat Yatris from across the country. So, it's a as I said, it's a life-altering, transformative experience. And I think one shouldn't make fun of the Yatra. I think the Yatra is a very somber, very serious exercise of the Congress party. It's not a tamasha. It's not a G20 type of an event. It's not an event. That's why I said. Okay. It's not an event. It's a movement. And it's a long-term movement. You 2 years.
You mentioned Digvijay Singh, I didn't, so I have to ask you, do you want to apologize for the manner in which you pushed aside the Aaj Tak camera when we tried to ask questions to Mr. Digvijay Singh about the surgical strike?
I always look ahead. Never apologize. Has the Prime Minister ever apologized for all the things that he has done and said?
But you could have done it differently.
It's easy to sit in a studio and say you could have done it differently. When you're on the spot, the pressures are multiple, and people are not nice, particularly, people trying to force a mic into your mouth. So I don't regret it. I wish things had happened differently.
That's fair enough. I think that at least admitting that things could have happened differently is a start. But Jairam Ramesh, it has been a yatra in a way that clearly has been there in the media eye for the last few months. And therefore, stay warm in Srinagar and may you continue to walk in Lodi Garden now instead of across the countryside. Thank you.
Yeah, from Godi Media to Lodi Media.
Okay, let's leave it there. Jairam Ramesh, you got your one back on me. Thank you.
Bye.
From Godi Media to Lodi Media. Let's leave it there. That's another debate for another day. Unfortunately, we've run out of time tonight, and therefore, I want to leave you though with the comeback man, Shahrukh Khan, whose Pathaan film is on a record-breaking spree, the film collecting over 500 crores in just 5 days. The superstar and the film's team, including Deepika Padukone and John Abraham, were out in Mumbai to thank the fans. Shahrukh had a lot of love for the haters, a lot of things to say. So we leave you tonight with what Shahrukh Khan had to say to his fans. Take a look. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar. Shahrukh Khan at the end of the show.
All of us again are extremely grateful, first to the audience, second to all the people in media for supporting the film so much, in spite of the fact that there might have been things that could have curtailed the happy release of this film. I just want to say there's so much love from all sides and we can never show enough gratefulness. Not only us, the whole film industry, what is rightly or wrongly called Bollywood or the Indian film industry. I think we thank you on behalf of all our colleagues and friends in the film industry for bringing life back to cinemas. So बहुत-बहुत आप सबका धन्यवाद.
बहुत से लोगों को पता ही नहीं है। अगर मुसलमान देखेगा ओ हमारी माँ को ऐसा हो रहा है, हमारी बहन को ऐसा हो रहा है, तो बिल्कुल गलत है और उसके ऊपर ही फोकस करना है बीबीसी को। सेम है बीबीसी को अपने ही घर में क्यों आग लगा रहा है?
Anti-India agenda. Okay, the Godra riots, right? This is 21 years old. Why are they digging it up now? I'll tell you why. Because in 2024 there's a general election, right? So they're trying to diminish India's ever-increasing world dominance, right?
I'm sick and tired of the propaganda by the BBC. We all know that the riots did happen in Gujarat, but the reason I am here today because I felt the documentary is completely one-sided. They didn't show both sides at all. They did not focus on why the riots started.
मैं इसको पहला इस नज़रिए से देखता हूँ, चंद युवक विद्यार्थी भड़क कर सड़कों पर उतर रहे हैं, जो कि पूरे देश के छात्र समूह का 0.00001% भी नहीं है। इसलिए उस उन्माद को ये कहना कि सारे भारत की छात्र शक्ति इस तरफ लगी है, तो यह सत्य से का गला घोंटना है।
It is the BBC's core belief of impartiality that is being questioned by a large part of the Indian diaspora living in the United Kingdom after the two-part documentary was released on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Of course, the timing is being questioned, but also the ask is that the BBC apologizes for this imbalance that they feel was shown in the documentary, and also there is a call for them to be called in front of the select committee in the parliament to answer for it. Lavina Tandon for India Today from London.
Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist. Co-presented by Panasonic, create today, enrich tomorrow. Co-powered by Samsonite, tested like Samsonite. Indian Oil, pehle Indian, phir oil.
There were tears, a sense of disbelief, and a huge sigh of relief for Aryna Sabalenka as she made a stunning comeback to win her maiden Grand Slam title. Facing current Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina, Sabalenka was broken early in the first set.
The first break in this women's final.
But in the 8th game of the first set, she fought back and drew level at 4-4.
It's a beautiful response.
However, Sabalenka was broken again and ended up conceding the first set 6-4.
Wrapped up the first set in 34 minutes. 6 games to 4.
In the second set, the Belarus player displayed tremendous grit and took the lead with a thunderous cross-court forehand. Rybakina did well to save 3 championship points, but an unforced error from her in the 10th game sealed Aryna Sabalenka's maiden Australian Open title.
Aryna Sabalenka is the Australian Open champ for 2023. And it is Arena Sabalenka who is the Australian Open 2023 women's.
Sabalenka's superb comeback will be remembered forever, and her dream of a Grand Slam title is finally fulfilled. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Mr. G, what I do want you to do, since we are at this iconic facility, if you could just tell us what's happening around us, because there's so much movement, you can just give us a rough idea. How do these 55 acres of this facility, how does it operate, and how do you manage to make it efficient and truly scale up the volumes and increase business via this facility?
Yeah, this is only one factory. As I told you, we have two factories. This is not the surprising issue. This is only one factory.
Yeah.
In this factory, we are producing refrigerator about 2 million sets per year. Only this factory. And then RAC about 1 million sets. And then washing machine front loader also we are producing here almost 6 lakh quantity, and also TV also. So this is one of the general production site of LG India here. So now most of them is we are digesting in local domestic market. So that's why we say India has a most potential country of global.
These are all good things to hear, Mr. G. But lastly, just one thing I want to understand is, when you consider LG's India business and you compare it to markets around the world, how does it rank compared to far more developed markets?
No. Maybe it will be very surprised if you heard what I'm saying is, India is world ranking number 2. India business size of LG India, right after USA market.
Okay.
Globally, USA ranking number 1, India ranking number 2. Others, number 3, we have very big gap with number 3. That's why we LG also have a very proud of business with India here.
And we hope that you do visit the Pune facility more and come and visit us in the Tech Today studio in Mumbai.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll show you around and you can tell us a little bit more about your gadgets.
Why not? Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm just waiting for you.
Thanks so much for joining us on
Thank
Tech
you very
Today.
much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ramdev, you've had a very long career in the market. How do you do it? Because every year there is some distraction. Sometimes it is digital stocks, which you may or may not own, which are going up. Sometimes it's commodities which are having a bull run, which you may or may not have. Do you just say, I forget the noise and stick to my 20 stocks, which I know? Because it's easier said than done, right?
More like if you ask me personally, I'm more like a prop investor who doesn't care so much about 12 months appraisal. And I'm buy and hold. And the longer run, if there is in the QGLP framework, if you have bought good quality stocks at reasonable good price, and your holding period is long. See, even if you get the price wrong to start with, but if your holding period is 10, 15, 20 years, then what happens is that even if you have paid a little more, it doesn't hurt. The growth G is equal to R. That's what I practice, and it used to work very well. But what has happened is that the kind of stock prices we have seen in last 5-7 years, even today, is absolutely absurd. We used to get good stocks in 90. Our problem is that we have seen 40 years of the market. And we have seen Asian Paints at 17, 18 P multiple, and we didn't want to pay 15, 16. That's the kind of history we started with. Then it became 22, 25. Now you are talking about 80 or 100. That doesn't fit into my psyche. So that's a bigger challenge. How do you buy at 80p and still make money? That doesn't work with me.
I know, but sometimes does it lead to you making mistakes? Like last year, you did buy some digital stocks. Do you regret that? Was that a mistake?
Yeah, that was a clear mistake.
Which one did you buy?
I bought Zomato.
Only Zomato?
Only Zomato.
If you on hindsight, would you have bought it, or you should not have ventured?
I should have not even bothered. See, actually, I don't bother about any IPO.
Why did you buy it then?
But
it's
you know,
not
my
your kind
fund
of
managers,
stock.
they were on my head. They were telling me, sir, use your office to get some allocation. I mean, I'm telling you, this is the truth. So, you know, then for me also to pick up the phone and talk to the company, they convinced me, sir, this is a terrific thing. So that's how, and then you get sucked in. One guy, two guys, they have better degrees than me. So, you know, you start, and then environment is like that. There's so much of demand. The management is worshipped. They don't come to Mumbai. They have to come and meet. They don't even declare quarterly results properly. They have their own formats. All kinds of nonsense. And still you get into that. See, that optimistic market, you get this. Last time in 2008, I got sucked into Central Bank of India. Can you believe this?
Central Bank of
Central
India?
Bank of India. At the peak of 2008 boom, I ended up buying Central Bank big time. So you get sucked in. Because then right now nobody wants to believe PSU Bank. I'm telling you, in 2 years' time, the most coveted blue chips will be PSU banks.
Will be?
PSU banks.
Powered by Samsonite. Tested like Samsonite. Volkswagen Tiguan, India's safest SUVW.
Massive blast in Peshawar, Pakistan. At least 47 killed, more than 150 injured. Blast in high security police lines area. A section of the mosque roof collapsed in the suspected suicide blast. Several feared trapped in the debris of the mosque terror attack. Pakistan Prime Minister and Army Chief rushed to Peshawar. Snakes in Pakistan's backyard bite Pakistan. Will Pakistan wake up and crack down on terror? That's our top focus on India First.
The death toll in the Peshawar police line's mosque attack has now risen to 47. Several Namazis and policemen are still feared trapped under the debris. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and the Pakistan Army Chief, they've both rushed to Peshawar. Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, once trained, armed and funded by the Pakistan Army, we are told, has claimed responsibility for this terror strike. But the bigger question, will Pakistan deep state dismiss these 47 deaths as collateral damage in the high-stakes game for Afghanistan? We'll tell you the context, we'll get you details. I'm Gaurav Sawant as always. Let's get started with the headlines at 10. Bloodbath continues at the Adani Group counters. 5 of 10 stocks at lower circuit. The Hindenburg effect sees Adani investors lose 5.6 lakh crore in 3 days. The group's top financial officer calls the report bogus. Hindenburg sticks to its charges. From Kanyakumari to Kashmir, Bharat Jodo Yatra concludes. Rahul Gandhi says people of Kashmir gave him love, not hand grenades. BJP hits out saying Gandhis in Kashmir today only because of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's policies. Mahua Moitra, Prashant Bhushan and journalist N. Ram moved the Supreme Court against the ban on the BBC Modi film. Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju slams the move, says this is how the court's time is wasted. After Khalistani goons bash up Indian students in Melbourne, India sends out a strong message. Envoy visits temples that were vandalized with Khalistani graffiti. Film actor Shahrukh Khan gives a message of love after the success of Pathaan, says he doesn't want to hurt religious sentiments but wants to present Indian culture in a modern way. The news from Peshawar in Pakistan, once known as the city of flowers, is heartbreaking. More than 400 Pakistan police personnel and civilians had gathered for the afternoon namaz at the highly secure police lines mosque. At 10 minutes past 1 in the afternoon, there was a massive blast and a part of the roof of the mosque came crashing down. So far, 47 dead bodies have been recovered. More than 150 people are injured, several still buried under the debris. Our top story is from the troubled city of Peshawar in Pakistan.
A massive blast at the police lines mosque in the high security Peshawar cantonment area left a trail of death and devastation. Reports said close to 400 policemen and a number of civilians had assembled for the afternoon namaz, and as soon as the imam of the masjid gave the call for prayers, there was a massive blast at 10 minutes past 1 in the afternoon. The blast was so huge that a part of the mosque caved in and hundreds were feared trapped in the debris.
हेडक्वार्टर्स है पेशावर पुलिस का, सीटीडी का, एफआरपी का, एलीट फोर्स का और टेलीकम्युनिकेशन हेडक्वार्टर्स। तो जोहर की नमाज पे यहाँ पे 300 से 400 के लगभग एहलकार जो है वो नमाज पे मौजूद है। बज़ाहिर तो यही नजर आ रहा है कि अगर पुलिस लाइंस में इस तरह का वाकया हो रहा है तो सिक्योरिटी लैब्स ही होगा, लेकिन ये तफ्तीश के बाद ही हमें क्लियर पोजीशन पता चलेगी।
The Peshawar police, ambulance and fire service personnel rushed to join rescue operations, but it was hampered by the front portion of the mosque having caved in. The imam of the mosque, Noorul Amin, was killed in the blast.
ये अफसोस से कहना पड़ता है कि अभी तक 28 हमारे जवान जो है ये शहीद हो चुके हैं और इसी तरह तकरीबन 150 के लगभग जख्मी हैं। जो लोग इसमें अभी तक मलबे के नीचे हैं उसको भी रेस्क्यू कर रहे हैं और कुछ को तो निकाला गया और कुछ को निकाला जा रहा है।
Heavy cranes and earth movers were called in to help remove the debris and bring out the namazis trapped inside. Oxygen cylinders and pipes were sent to provide oxygen to those trapped under the debris. Late evening, the administration confirmed at least 10 people remained trapped in the debris. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and the Army Chief General Asim Munir rushed to Peshawar and spoke of the need to eliminate the scourge of terror. Pakistan government confirmed it was a suicide attack. For the police, the biggest challenge is to identify the suicide bomber and investigate how the suicide bomber succeeded in bringing in the explosives. Police Lines Mosque is one of the most secure parts of Peshawar, not far from the office of the Inspector General of Police. The Khyber Road has multiple barricades, and yet the bomber succeeded in evading the police at multiple checkpoints, including one at the entrance of the mosque.
पुलिस निशाना थी, क्योंकि ये मस्जिद जो है ये पुलिस लाइन की है। इसी तक इसकी जिम्मेदारी तो किसी ने कबूल नहीं की, लेकिन इसमें टीटीपी अगर मुलव्वस है तो टीटीपी के लोग जो हैं वो अफगानिस्तान की सरजमीन पे मौजूद हैं। उसमें तो ये बात जो है ये तो फिर साबित है कि
Former Pakistan Prime Minister and PTI leader Imran Khan took to social media platform Twitter to express his condolences. He said he strongly condemns the terrorist suicide attack in Police Lines Mosque during the prayers. My prayers and condolences go to the victims' families. It is imperative we improve our intelligence gathering and properly equip our police forces to combat the growing threat of terrorism. Pakistan's Peshawar has repeatedly been targeted by terrorists, including a recent attack on the counter-terror department in Bannu, where suspected Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan terrorists took the entire counter-terror department hostage and the army had to be called in. With rescue operations continuing to bring people buried under the debris at the mosque, the casualties in Peshawar are only expected to rise. Bureau Report, India Today.
So the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, it's a banned terror outfit in Pakistan that's claimed responsibility for a suicide attack at this mosque in Peshawar. 47 dead, 150 injured, and most of these are policemen. Now, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, it's carried out a series of terror attacks against security forces. Last year, you'd recall, a Shia mosque had been targeted in Kocha Risaldar. 63 people had been killed. Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan had there'd been a sharp spike in terror strikes both in North and South Waziristan, and very recently a video went viral of TTP fighters arresting and reportedly beheading a Pakistan Army soldier, issuing a notice that Pakistani Punjabis are no longer welcome in Peshawar and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Foreign Affairs Editor Geeta Mohan for more on the story. Geeta, what more can you tell us about the TTP claim? And will the Pakistan Army actually mount an operation against TTP, or like APS Peshawar in 2014, leave more TTP personnel and enter in a deal with them?
Well, it's a very, very unfortunate incident, Gaurav, but then it